Kabale University has paid glowing tribute to its founding chancellor, the late Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba, who served in the role from 2002 to 2015. The tribute was delivered during a press conference held on Wednesday at the university premises, led by Vice-Chancellor Professor Joy Kwesiga, in the company of guild leaders and committee members who worked closely with the late professor during his tenure. Professor Kwesiga described the late Kanyeihamba as a visionary, hardworking and deeply committed man who played a pivotal role in establishing the university and securing land for its expansion, emphasizing his desire for the institution to serve the people of Kigezi.
Professor George Wilson Kanyeihamba is a founder member of Kabale University, the private university. Founder member meaning the people who prepared to establish the university and people who were there when it was founded and who gave it the foundation. So that is the first capacity in which we remember him, which is very, very important. We also remember him as the first chairperson of the Board of Trustees. So he was elected, that's the kind of trust the people of Kigezi had in him. He was elected as the first chair of the Board of Trustees. So when the university became established and we needed all the other organs of the university, the members asked him now to step down and become the chancellor because they looked around and he was the one who deserved that position. Chancellor, he was a person who committed to the work of the university and duty bound.
She also revealed that it was Professor Kanyeihamba who persuaded her to join the university's leadership, citing her resilience and ability to mobilize stakeholders to support the university's development.
That is how I came to this university. Is the one who persuaded me, and I use the word very carefully. He persuaded me to come to this university because remember there was nothing at this university except the buildings of local government, for which we are very grateful, Kabale District local government, for giving us the first life by surrendering the 50 acres here in Kigezi and the 3 acres in where we have the Faculty of Engineering right now. So, because there were almost no students, we started in 2001 with the 42 students, so you wouldn't expect those paid fees which would be used for the running of the university.
Professor Kwesiga noted that although Professor Kanyeihamba initially opposed the university's transition from a private community institution to a public one, an issue that sparked legal disputes and internal staff conflicts, he later reconciled with the university. In 2023, he reportedly called her to apologize and expressed pride for how far the university had come.
He was among the group that didn't want the university to become public because he said this is a community institution, let the community guide it and it develops as a private university. The community, on the other hand, was saying, we are unable to continue managing this institution. Can we ask the government of Uganda to take it over? So those agreements again ended in court. And eventually the university became public in 2015. And that is how the court processes ended, because the university was gazetted long before the court processes started, so it had to be terminated. I'm mentioning this to show how Professor Kanyeihamba is an honorable man, or was an honorable man. I'm still speaking in the present because I think he will remain an honorable man. Having disagreed with him vehemently for over those few years, on 20th November 2023, he rang me and he said, "Joy, I have rang to say sorry."
Professor James Tumwine, the current Dean of the School of Medicine and former chairperson of the University Council during Kanyehamba's leadership, described the late professor as a patriotic and visionary leader who pushed for the establishment of the university in Kabale district.
Professor Kanyeihamba was a giant academic to the extent that he started him with Joseph Biamisha, the law school at Makerere. And that was no small achievement. I thought Kawaseki would be here. She has been through it, starting a school of medicine. Of law here. But for Kanyeihamba to start it for East Africa was a big coup in my view. And therefore is a man of big stature in academia.
Former student leader Robert Kakuru hailed Professor Kanyehamba's empathy and support for students, saying that he often helped students to complete their studies even when they couldn't pay tuition on time. Kakuru proposed that the university name a hall or road in Kanyeihamba's honor.
And above all, those who have studied here, I would have cheated if I don't mention how he pleaded for us in a line to say, leave these students to go to do exams. They will do exams when they have not paid. What you need to do is just to make sure they pay when they come for their certificates. And we enjoy to complete our courses without payments. At one time when he was chairing a meeting and they were talking about finance, I remember a professor talking about, was it a reserve fund? Professor loved a reserve fund and said, you see, when they reported, I remember they reported and said the university's debts. And what caused debts? Most of us had not paid. Why? The professor never wanted us to be sent away without paying.
Dr. Christina Mpumuza, the current head of the Faculty of Tourism and junior lecturer during Professor Kanyeihamba's tenure, remembered him as a cultural-rooted leader who was approachable, respectful, and deeply invested in the university's growth.
He worked so hard to ensure that systems are put in place. And I remember one time when he came and told us that, you know, he's a professor, but he comes to you, junior people. My entire life in a university, I hadn't interacted with professors at that level. But seeing him come to us at that level was, for me, a source of encouragement to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I really believed that Kabale University in the future will grow into a big institution, seeing the devotion and commitment of the giants who were behind it. So he came and told us we were going to receive a consultant because things were not going right. We couldn't attract students. I think all of us were working without appointment letters. We were voluntary, and we were, I should say, appointed by word of mouth.
Other committee leaders echoed similar sentiments, describing him as bold, time-conscious, and unwavering in his commitment to excellence.
And actually, the ideas of even the Kabale University, Kigezi Bank of Commerce, even those who stayed professors talking about Uganda, we had so many ideas. We had even thought of building a kind of market in Kampala, a place where the people can sell the Irish potatoes, whatever they had to sell, so that they have an outlet. But many of those ideas died. I think what came out was the university and the Bank of Commerce.
And therefore, whatever you did, you will not joke around. Once he has come as a chancellor, you don't joke around. Even moving around there, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. And that really trained us to know that if this is a function, it is a function. No, not moving about. You have to be careful what you say and the documentation that you have. Quite tough, authoritative, but he spoke with authority. So whatever he delivered there on the podium, it was authoritative, not for only Kabale University, but for the nation. So we really had him as a statesman, we had him as an authority, and whenever you would know that the Chancellor is coming to preside over the function.
Professor Dr. George Wilson Kanyeihamba passed away on Monday morning at Nakasero Hospital, where he had been receiving treatment for diabetes. He had spent several weeks in the intensive care unit before his passing. The government is expected to issue an official statement, with speculation growing that a state-recognized burial may be granted in honor of his distinguished service to the nation. This story was compiled by Norbert Ndiamhachi and King Solomon Tuinamasko for Kigezi Television.